know, COVID will always take control of our lives. So I've just received a bereavement, but it's fine. we first let me thank members for accepting and the understanding of us rescheduling our meeting for today. It was reasons beyond our control. I don't want to waste any time in welcoming everybody. On a lighter note, I was sent a message on our last meeting. Somebody said, "We are still on air. You are talking about chocolates." Now I responded to him, this person, and say, "He's talking about chocolates unparliamentary." And he said, "No, Chair, I thought you were not aware." I said, "No, I was." So I don't see Honorable Bagram. I don't know whether he was intimidated about that, and he. I hope we'll get the apologies, but yeah, in welcoming and everybody, you know, Honorable Dana's smile is forever. It makes you feel a bit relaxed at times. It's such a beautiful smile. It's a Friday, honorable members. Let's not be that. We will now back to the business of the day. We will then request Mr. Sakaza to take us through who is in the meeting, and I would appreciate if guests and the DG will take us through welcoming I see the Deputy Minister is here. I'm not quite sure whether the Minister has joined us. Then after that, we must then know who is here. I see there are a couple of emails that I'm assuming that those people are people from media. Over to you, Mr. Sakaza.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, Chair, and the members, as well as the Minister, Deputy Minister, and the department at large. Chair, today we have the following members of the Portfolio Committee on Labour. We've got Honorable Chair, Honorable Nkabane, Honorable Zuma, Honorable Kado, Honorable Mkondo, and Honorable Dena. I have received an email from Honorable Bagram to say that he will be joining a little bit late. And Honorable Yinana is still on bereavement. That's all from the members, Chair. And then from the support staff, I've got myself, Mr. Ngobo.
Honorable Mtabe.
Honorable Mtabe just joined it, sir. I've got myself, Mr. Ngobo, Mr. Mkwena, the researcher, and another Mr. Mkwena Sakile from Communications, and Ms. Poshi Andabeni. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. DG, can we? DG, who is here from your team? Can you take us through?
Good morning, Chairperson and the honorable members, Minister, Deputy Minister. From the department side, Chairperson, we have Mr. Vuyo Mafata, who's the Compensation Fund Commissioner. We have Marsha Bronkhorst, who's the UIF Acting Commissioner. We have the support staff from the DG's office, Matapelo Mataboke, and Karabo Mkhahane from the Office of the Deputy Minister. I see we have no Siwaku from the Minister's office as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Sorry, Chair, we have Tando Wababa, the PLO of the department, and Weli Letwengu in my office. I see we have Zandi Mweli as well, who's the head of the DM's office. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, DG. Are there any guests that have joined us? Can they please introduce themselves? I see Mr. or Miss Vasson. Are there any guests that are here, Mr. Sakas? Why are they?
They should just mention themselves because they are. Yes, broadcast PC.
I really don't understand why, when now we are on the virtual meetings, guests are a bit reluctant to introduce themselves, because we are not doing something that is untoward. When people are when it was a physical processes of meetings, people will introduce themselves. And I'm humbly requesting that people do that. If they are refusing to introduce themselves, I will have to take a decision that they will have then to be out of the meeting. We're not doing something that we've never done before. So I see there's Mr. Mado. I see that there's somebody from the Ages office. Who is
Good morning, Chairperson. I am streaming for Parliament TV. For Parliament audio streaming.
Okay.
So it's Mado Sephora. I'm going to request as well, Chairperson, that we are live with this meeting. If you can also switch on the video and the guests to switch on the video when they speak. Thank you, Chair.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mado. Who else? Now they have vanished.
Linda Enzo is there. I see Enzo, and that's Linda from
Business Day. Yes, I'm Linda Enzo from Business Day newspaper.
Okay. I see there's a hand from Kabelo.
Chair, I'm the parliamentary liaison manager or the stakeholder liaison manager for Auditor General of South Africa. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. I see there's somebody from BDFM. Who is that one?
That's Linda, Chair. Linda.
Okay.
Business Day.
Okay. No, thank you very much, honorable members. I think just to remind our guests and members, because at the end, when the office of the chair is called on something that is being said by somebody, I must then be able to say, yes, that person was in the, that's what was said in the committee, that person was in the committee. We just want to have that, and it's a respect, it's a practice that has always been there. So I thank you very much, honorable members. Our agenda items are two. One is that we felt that it's important, Honorable Minister, that since last year we got a report that there are staff members, senior members in UIF that have been on suspension, and we just want to check with the department. How far are you? What is the situation? Yes, we got a report from the SIU. They tabled their report yesterday, this week on Tuesday. The second one is on compensation fund. Remember that since we took over from this office, from this portfolio committee, my apologies, members have always have a concern and wanted that the compensation fund must also reflect on us, because it was then the interest of the committee that we must not only be focusing on how much is paid to service providers and not have an understanding how much then finally goes to a worker that is injured on duty. It has been coming up all the time, Minister, and we thought that it's important that today we get that. And I hope therefore that our expectations will be met. I thought I saw the minister here. Minister, I will then just hand over to you for any overview if you feel that there is a need for that for now. And then after that, we'll then hand over to the DG for the DG to take us through who's going to make a presentation. And yeah, thank you very much. Over to you, Honorable Minister. As we have been requested by audio, is that we are live, and therefore when we speak, when a person speaks, please switch on your video camera only when a person is speaking. We will. I understand Mado by saying that, but they are interested in seeing us as people that are speaking. Over to you, Minister.
Yeah, thank you, Chairperson, the honorable members of the Portfolio Committee, the Deputy Minister, the DG, and the senior management of the department, the commissioners and the management teams of both the UIF and the Compensation Fund. And ladies and gentlemen, maybe thank you for the opportunity, Chairperson. With regards to UIF suspensions of senior managers, I think the DG and the acting UI commission, they will be able to make an input, and the officials remain suspended, or they remain on suspension pending the finalization of the SIU investigation and the lifestyle audits. I know that members might feel it's taking too long because people are seated at home and any. Unfortunately, we have to follow the due process. We have to follow the labor legislation. We are the last to violate those due processes. With regards to consequent management more generally, I think earlier this week you received the report from the SIU and the SCM investigation, which resulted in recommended charges against 7 officials, including 3 managers. And the SIU investigations are ongoing, and I think Masha would speak more on that. To receive a fuller picture of the consequent management and the measures to combat corruption, the committee needs to receive first a report on the UIF's Follow the Money program, which is now beginning to bear fruit. And this represents the comprehensive audit of COVID-19 terrorist benefits payments to identify wrongly made or fraudulent payments, as well as where deserving workers did not receive what was due to them because of employers. And sometimes I don't think the committee becomes hard on this issue of the employers. In relation to the reports from the Compensation Fund, you see a clear upward trend in claims, mirroring the first wave of the pandemic. It will be interesting to see if we get the same pattern during the second wave of the pandemic, once the figures are collated. When it comes to the claims per sector, the Commissioner will want to give the further details on the government sector, which both had the table and is said to be exempt. As the Minister and the department, we take very seriously the health and the well-being of both funds. as core to our mandate is providing security to workers in a stable labor market. Indeed, we'll be meeting with the funds later today as part of our longer-term process to review the progress in addressing underlying structural and systemic care problems in line with the report and the recommendations of the state-owned enterprises. Because there is a process going on there, which is led by the president looking at this particular area. In particular, this means looking at the following. We revisit the mandates of the funds. We review the legal framework and the structure against that mandate. We audit, or the audit of the capacity and the skills against the mandate. We review the appropriateness of the systems and processes, and also review of the operating model and the governance structure. We want to also interrogate risk and compliance measures. And lastly, the measures and controls to combat fraud and corruption. We will also look at the plans and progress in relation to immediate priorities. These are the immediate priorities for a clean audit and strengthening the service to the clients and the public. Thanks, Chair. I think the officials led by the DG will lead the presentations.
No, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Minister. DG, you will then take us through, and who is then going to make a presentation on UIF suspensions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I'll request Welile to beam the presentation. Or Zolana, are you beaming it from your side?
No, DG, Welile has been given the right to flight, so
Okay.
I'm sure he's busy with it.
It's busy. Okay.
Through you, Chair.
I'm of the understanding that we were circulated the report whilst we are still waiting for the beaming processes. I want to propose to members that there it is.
Thank you very much, Chair. The Minister has indicated that the Portfolio Committee has had a presentation by the SIU on progress with regards to the investigation that is underway at the UIF. And they've mentioned quite a number of the things that we will mention in our report. So we'll give you the progress on the consequential management as recommended by the SIU and the status of suspension of the senior officials. Next slide. So SIU finalized the supply chain management investigation and recommended that charges be brought against 7 officials, 4 middle managers and 3 senior managers. And charge sheets have been compiled and handed to the implicated officials, and presiding officers and prosecutors have been appointed for all the middle managers and 1 senior manager. Prosecuting officials appointed for all senior managers. Presiding officers for the senior managers are from outside the Department of Labor. The disciplinary hearing will take place from the 19th of February 2021 to the 26th of February 2021. Next slide. On the status of senior officials that are still suspended. As the minister has indicated, that all the senior managers that were suspended, they remain suspended because the investigation has not yet been finalized. And in their letters of suspension, it was indicated that they are being suspended pending the outcome of the investigation by the SIU. So the SIU has not completed that exercise, and they've shared that information with the committee. And therefore, as a department, we are unable to take any further steps, given the fact that the investigations have not been concluded. And it is only when the investigations are concluded that we will then, based on the recommendations of SIU, implement those recommendations as a department. So that's how far we've moved, Chairperson, with regards to how we've implemented the recommendations of the SIU in as far as what they have picked up with regards to breaches around supply chain management processes. We've taken steps. We are waiting the final report from them so that we can then take steps with regards to other officials that have been suspended if there's a need for us to do so. Next slide. I think the next slide is just to thank you, Chair. Thanks, Chair.
No, thank you very much, DG. Can I would like to propose a process that we then receive the compensation fund report, and then when we received both of them, after we've received both of them, we then ask questions. Would that be fine, honorable members? If members
I would prefer to have them separately.
Who's speaking?
Michael Carter, Chair. I would prefer questions to be taken separately on the presentations.
Are you proposing that we do them separately?
I am indeed.
Is there any seconder to that?
Yeah, I would like to do that as well. Sorry, Madam Chair, and I came in a little bit late, but I did hear the presentation, so thank you.
Okay. I don't think that...
Chair Mkhonto.
Honorable Mkhonto.
Maybe the majority will disadvantage me, but to me the presentation is too short. I wanted to second what you were proposing. Thanks.
Okay, let's for us to be more focused, and let's okay. If there are questions, can we get questions from the presentation by
I'm Michael Bagram.
Honorable Bagram. Who else?
Michael Cardo.
Honorable Cardo. Who else?
Mkhonto.
And dinner, please, Chair.
Honorable Cardo. Honorable Mkhonto. Honorable Dana. Okay, in that order for now. Over to you, members. We have been requested to our videos to be because we have been broadcasted. So we will have to.
May I go ahead?
Yes, you may go ahead, Honorable Baker.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you very much for the presentation. I appreciate it. I first of all apologize for coming in a little late. I'm sorry about that. I did warn Mr. Zulani about it. Thank you for the presentation. We all know that justice delayed is justice denied. I know that the department suspended the top ranking officials in the UIF, what was it, 6 months ago? Kill me if I'm wrong, but I think it was about 6 months ago. I presume we haven't been doing much about investigating why they were suspended. You don't suspend someone unless you are suspicious of them some wrongdoing. You can't do that. You can't suspend people in midair just because you think there might be an issue. You have to have some pointer as to what's going wrong. I also know the department has, for a few months now, been following their Follow the Money campaign. So I presume they by now must have seen it can't be all that difficult as to where the money's gone into what bank accounts. That would take you an hour, maybe 2 hours. I'm not sure what we've been doing for 6 months about these people at all. The minister will recall that approximately 8 months ago, I made an allegation which upset him, that there seems to be fraud within the department, within the officials and within employees within the department. He got very upset and started shouting. In fact, the chair also accused me of making allegations which weren't correct. Those allegations now coming to pass and we're seeing them. And we're hoping for some better consequence management. To blame the SIU, who are now doing their own investigation, is no good. The SIU will do an investigation, but it's a very, as we know from the SIU discussion that we had a few days ago, it's a very thin investigation. It doesn't spread properly. And I think that fraud and corruption is a lot more extensive than the SIU's investigation. So we are expecting, and the public are expecting, consequence management. We've had thousands of employees who are literally not paid because of theft and because of monies disappearing. So hopefully we can get, first of all, a court order to stop any monies going out of these individuals' accounts. It looks like almost 6,000 employees of the government have been fingered in this. And please, let's have some action. So thank you for my ability to ask the question.
Ricardo.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to take advantage of the Minister's presence just to ask when the details of the extended TERS scheme would be finalized, and whether workers on reduced time and reduced pay would be eligible for the extended TERS scheme. I'm thinking in particular of many workers in the hospitality sector who have taken 50, 60, 70% pay cuts and are desperate to know whether they will get TERS in terms of the extended operating of the scheme. Is the scheme going to operate as long as there is some form of lockdown that prevents people from earning any or all of their income? But to come to the actual presentation, my questions to the Director General are as follows. Firstly, how much has been paid out to the officials who've been suspended to date? I'd also like to know why it's taken over 6 months to charge the officials and have disciplinary inquiries. And perhaps you could tell us when the charge sheet was actually sent to the 4 middle managers and the 3 senior managers. The hearings are set to run from today to next Friday. So presumably the charge sheet must have been drafted and served at least a week ago. And then you probably won't be able to tell us exactly what the charges are, but could you tell us who the presiding officers and prosecutors are in the case? If not their names, then at least where they have been drawn from. And then finally, who exactly is conducting the lifestyle audit, and when can we expect that to be finalized? Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Mkhonto.
Thanks, Chair. Good morning to you, honorable members, the Minister, the Deputy Minister, the DG and his team. Chair, there is a slide that is talking about disciplinary measures or disciplinary sessions taking place between the 19th and the 26th of February 2021. I just want to find out if are these the same officials that have been suspended and being investigated by SIU, or we are talking about different officials? And if it is the same officials, are these processes not parallel? Are we not duplicating activities here? Secondly, Chair, I would love to know what will happen to the salaries the suspended officials are getting now if found guilty, because they are sitting at home, they are getting taxpayers' money, doing nothing, and the process is taking very, very long. So can the minister request SIU to expedite this process so that it gets finalized, and the department focus on other things, because there are many things that still need to be dealt with in as far as these suspected cases are concerned. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mkondo. Honorable Dana.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning to everyone. Chair, I just have two questions. The first one is a bit broader than the consequence management for the UIF itself. It's with regards to the presentation of the SIU on Tuesday, and they mentioned that there has been 70 criminal cases opened. And I'd just like to inquire from the DG, when the UIF presented last year, and I think it was, if I'm correct, in September already, they already indicated that 70 criminal cases have been opened. So I'd just like to know, were there only 70 instances where criminal behavior was reported? And why is there still only just 70 criminal cases? And maybe if we could just get some information on what the stance of those criminal cases are, I'd appreciate that. And then also on Tuesday, I asked the Minister with regards to controls being put in place to prevent similar things happening as we have seen now that has come out in the SIU's investigation, and specifically with regards to government officials and staff in the UIF. The Minister indicated that, well, for the lack of a better term, he hid behind the PFMA and the DG and the fact that there's a separation between politics and administration, and I understand that, but I'd still like to know from the Minister with regards to policy, what controls will be put in place? And maybe I should put this question to the DG then as well. What controls will be put in place to prevent that hard-earned taxpayers' money and money that's supposed to go to these beneficiaries are being stolen? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, honourable members. By the looks, I don't see any hands. I will then allow the DG and the Minister, because there are questions to both officers, to respond. Thank you very much. Over to you.
The DG will start.
Yes, Minister. DG.
Thank you, Chair. I think we've explained the reasons why the officials were suspended, and if honourable members will remember that the Minister had a media briefing indicating the rationale behind the suspension of these officials. And it was, and Honorable Bagri is correct, that you can't suspend people if you don't have anything, that you suspect has been done. And the officials were suspended on the basis of the report that was issued by the Auditor General. And the Auditor General, honorable members would remember, also came to the committee and presented their findings. And it was on the basis of those findings that the department felt that it was important that we suspend those officials because of the key roles that they play at the Unemployment Insurance Fund. Now, I just want to correct this assertion that SIU is conducting its own investigation. When we got the report from AG, the minister contacted the SIU and asked SIU to specifically do the investigation, focusing on those areas that are covered in the report of AG. So we could have decided that we will appoint a forensic investigation firm to do that investigation. But we opted for SIU given their wide-ranging powers and their investigative ability that they have, and the links that they have with with other law enforcement agencies. We opted for them because we wanted to get to the bottom of the issues that were raised by AG. So unfortunately, it has taken this long for them to do the investigation, fortunately, they have concluded the supply chain related areas, and that is why we're able to act now on the recommendations that they made. Marsha will talk about the follow the money issue. What is it that we're picking up there around follow the money? Now, whenever there are fraud and corruption allegations, it's important that we get those allegations investigated. It would be wrong of us to assume that just because there are allegations that are being made, we make the assumption that, or we issue a statement that says the colleagues that are suspended are fraudsters and are corrupt, because the report may come saying something different. And I think that in as much as we understand the importance of the urgency of doing an investigation, it is also important that we treat people as though that they are innocent up until proven guilty, and that's the principle that applies to everybody, and they should be accorded that principle as well. So that's why they are still on suspension, because the investigation has not concluded. Now, on the question raised by Honorable Kato on the details of the extended COVID test, we issued a statement after our discussions with the social partners at NEDLEC, where we were indicating when will the rollout of the claims will begin, and which sectors are going to be covered. And we indicated that the tourism, hospitality, the liquor industry, and all other industries that are in the value chain of these industries that I've mentioned, that as a result of the lockdown could not resume their businesses or had to revert to short time. So those sectors are going to be covered by the extension. The president has announced that the TERS benefit will be extended up until the 15th of January. And for now, that's the position of the Department of Employment and Labor. There may be approaches that will come requesting us to extend the benefit beyond the 15th of March. We will look at that, balance that with the sustainability of the fund, and check whether we'll be able to do so. For now, the extension is up until the 15th of March. We already have a benefit in the unemployment insurance fund, which covers short time. So if there are people who are now working short time, and because companies are going through this difficult time, obviously they will put people on short time, and that's the reason why that benefit was conceived, to make sure that we cover those people that work short time. I don't have the figures as to how much has been paid to the officials that are suspended. We can make that information available. Our finance guys, they do have that information. We'll send it to Zolani, chairperson. I mean, why has it taken this long? I've responded to that. The reason why it has taken this long. We have, as a department, we need also to comply with labor relations and accord people the rights that they have. The names of the chairpersons and prosecutors and where they are drawn from, I think the acting commissioner would have the names of the chairpersons and the prosecutors. Who's doing the lifestyle audits? The SIU are doing the lifestyle audits, as they indicated in their presentation to the portfolio committee, that what is outstanding now is to focus on the senior officials and do a lifestyle audit, and then they will conclude reports. The question by Honorable Mkondo, are these the same officials, or are they different to those that have been suspended, the ones that are being subjected to a disciplinary process now? It is only one official who was suspended together with the top management of the fund, who's part of the group that is being charged now for supply chain related breaches, and that is the head of supply chain, the director of supply chain. So the rest of the officials were not suspended. So that's the response to that question, Chair. We're not duplicating processes. What we're doing now is we're implementing the recommendations of the SIU. They gave us a report, and on the strength of that report, we're now taking the actions that we are taking. So there's no duplication. So what is going to happen to the salaries of the officials once they are found guilty? We suspended them, and they deserve to get the salaries that they are getting. And once they are found guilty, we will stop paying them the salaries. That's just the normal process. Chair, the acting commissioner will deal with the 70 criminal cases and the questions raised by Honorable Dana. On the controls that are being being put in place to prevent money being stolen. Honorable members will remember that from the very onset, the department stated clearly that what we will do, we will want to make sure that the money that we're paying to the employers to hand over to the employees is indeed reaching the hands of the employees, and hence we spoke early about following the money. That's the first thing. The second thing is, given the fact that the system that we used or that we are using to pay the TERS benefit is a different system from the normal system that we're using on a day-to-day basis to pay the ordinary benefits, the system that we call CIA. We will make sure that the two systems, talk to one another. There's interfacing, and we'll close the loopholes with regards to the bank the bank account challenges that we have with regards to bank verifications. We've closed that gap now. So all the challenges, all the issues that we picked up with regards to the controls that were lacking, as per the report of the Auditor General, those controls now have been put in place, and we pretty sure that nothing of this sort will happen. And of course, we are investigating a number of the allegations that have been leveled against some of our officials in the value chain of the processing of the claims, because there have been suggestions that the people who defrauded the fund were able to get through to the system, were aided by the officials of the fund. Of course, that is also the subject of the investigation, and once we finalize that, we will then act accordingly. But what we've done also, we brought in the National Treasury agency called GTEC to have a thorough go on our systems, the ICT systems that we're using, and whether the system has the capacity to handle the amount of work and transactions that go through the system. And GTEC indicated to us that the system is pretty much well designed. You just need to look at your business processes, and that's what we've been doing. And we still have support from GTEC, a specialist from the World Bank that GTEC seconded to the Unemployment Insurance Fund, to see to it that a number of the areas that were highlighted by the AG are indeed being addressed. But most importantly for us is that we integrating the IT system that we've been using into the daily operations of the fund, so that it does not only become a system for once-off process or benefit such as COVID tests, but it becomes a system that we use on a daily basis, given the fact that it can handle huge volumes of transactions, and that you can pay benefits within 24, 48 hours if that application is a competent application. Chair, thanks. I'll ask Marsha to respond to a number of questions that were asked.